Okay, my tip for making this particular card, because it is pretty tough to use the Edgelit die and make sure that you get it cut straight on your paper. So what I did was I took the Edgelit die and I put it on a piece of cardstock that is 5.5 by 4, and I lined up where I wanted the Edgelit to actually cut, made sure it was exactly straight by measuring to this little points right here, so I knew that it was straight across. And then I used some temporary adhesive like Dado, put it on the back of the Edgelit, pressed the Edgelit down onto the paper. Then I put some Dado on the back of this piece of paper and mounted it to my plate. You can see this is a pretty worn out plate, but I figured it would work for this particular project. Then you take your 4" by 5.5" piece of designer series paper, and when you do that, what you're going to do is you're just going to line up because that's what this size is. Put your paper down exactly onto this other piece of paper. That way you'll know it's going to be exactly straight. If necessary, you can put just a little piece of little Dado in the corner to hold it in place, but it probably will not be necessary. So put your designer series paper onto the Edgelit die. Now always put your paper the right side, or whatever the side you want to be the right side, down against the plate so that it's cutting against it. You don't want your little ridges. You know how when paper gets cut it has a little ridge. Run this through your Big Shot and your paper should be cut exactly the way that you wanted it. Now what I did for this particular card is I put the designer series paper on there and I cut it, took that out, put the white piece of paper on there, cut it, and then all I'm doing is using the opposite pieces. So the other side is scrap. But you can take the other pieces and it makes the reverse of the card, which is really nice, because then the designer series paper would be here and the white would be at the top, and you can just make the card however you want. This is the particular card that we made. Oh, I can't see it through the plastic very well. In Twitter painted paper. And how I lined it all up to make sure that I got it straight on this piece is once I had my two pieces cut, I took my designer series piece and once I took it out of the Big Shot, I took it and I folded it lightly in half. Don't press down on the seam, and you're going to have to line up your cut edge like that. And what you want to do is just make sure that this edge is straight, that the two edges go together and it is straight there. So mine looks pretty good. And then I just decided how wide I wanted it to be on the mat and trimmed it all off with it folded instead of trimming off a little off each end. You can trim it off one end and then fold them together and trim it that way if you want to. I was just trying to make sure that I got it straight, since that's so important to me. I took my two pieces and I took it, and this is going to be a little bit longer than what it's supposed to be. I put them together, the white piece right up against the designer series piece, turned it over on the back, matched them up exactly the way they're cut, and put a little piece of temporary adhesive on the back to hold it in place, and trimmed it to actually fit my card. And then once I put it on the card, then I have an exact match. If you don't want to do it that way, once you line it up on here, the white piece will be a little bit too long because you're leaving a gap here in the middle. So you can mount it, then turn it over, or temporarily mount it, I guess you'd say, not permanently mount it. Turn it over, draw a pencil line down the side, and then take it back off and trim it to 1/8 of an inch where that pencil line was. That way you'll have a nice margin here and a nice margin there. It's just an easy way of if you're really particular like I am about making sure that everything is straight and every margin is exactly the same. Okay, that's my tip. Thanks. Bye. Happy scrapping.